In the Pits is partnered with the Splat Zone Trinity 3-Man Paintball Series. The series, put on by Splat Zone Indoor Paintball, offers a fun and competitive opportunity for tournament play for players of all experience levels. Beginner, Division 5, and Open 3v3 X-Ball gives all players a chance to gather two friends and have some fun. Are you a beginner interested in playing, but worried your setup won't be competitive? Not to worry, Splat Zone will have several setups on hand for beginner division players if needed. The series is even investing in bringing my personal ref crew from outside the Houston area, guaranteeing that your experience that day will be run smoothly and fairly. Registration is live now for the season opener on Sunday, May 25th, so grab two friends and get signed up today. In the Pits is partnered with BEM Wraps. Behind every mask is a unique and creative player. Tap into it when you order your next custom headpiece. Their Build-A-Band lets you communicate with them one-on-one to make your order just the way you want, all the way down to the color of the stitch. Check out their Instagram at BEMWraps for drops and build videos of them working on orders. They offer very competitive pricing, so reach out today to get started on your own one-of-a-kind headpiece. In the Pits is partnered with 71 Designs. Owned and operated by veteran Wade Martin, and partnered with fellow Texas brand Compete. 71 Designs can take your ideas for soft goods, merchandise, and casual wear and make them a reality. Message 71 Designs on Facebook or Instagram to get started today. In the Pits is partnered with QBR. Are you seeking to heal and recover from the toll that paintball puts on the mind and body? QBR has the solution for you. Head to QBRofficial.com and use code PITS10 for 10% off of your order, plus free shipping. QBR, they don't sell broccoli. In the Pits is partnered with XTPL Events. The Extreme Tournament Paintball League is a series put on by the Lukow family of paintball fit fame that gives the opportunity for players to learn and grow together as a team. 3-Man, Challengers and Champions X-Ball, Draft Mech X-Ball, Super 7s, U3v3, even Glow-in-the-Dark Mech X. There's something for everyone at XTPL. Not to mention prize tosses, raffles, and the infamous paintball munching contest. Events happen throughout the year, and the prizes never disappoint. Sign up for an XTPL event today on PB Leagues. In the Pits is partnered with Hydra. Designed by players for players, you can outfit yourself in Hydra gear from head to toe. Have confidence that when you make a purchase from Hydra, you are purchasing a well-tested and well-thought-out product, trusted by several top teams, including World Cup Pro Champions Paintball Fit. I personally recommend their Hydra Black knee pads. Purchases over $100 receive free shipping. Head to hydra.fit to browse their selection and discover the Hydra mentality. In the Pits is partnered with Texas Pro player Jared Sherman. In a world where saving time means making money, Jared's local seed bank is making waves in Texas, carrying a large assortment of Texas-approved varieties for use in the Texas Hemp Program, seeds for novelty use, as well as premium genetics bred for solventless extraction. Jared Sherman has the ability to satisfy even the most sophisticated collectors. Head to his website and use code INTHEPITS for 10% off of your orders. In the Pits is partnered with Mariachi Águilas de Oro. Based in Austin and servicing the surrounding areas, these Golden Eagles will bring life to any event you are having, from birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, corporate events, or even a simple performance to enjoy. Guillermo Padilla, one of their trumpet players, is also a member of the Texas paintball scene. Visit them on Facebook and Instagram to check out some of their past performances, or give them a call to book them for your event today. In the Pits is partnered with the San Antonio 3v3 Paintball Series. The series provides local players with an affordable, fun opportunity to experience the excitement of tournament paintball and has already seen events sell out. I personally am the head referee for the series, and I can't wait to see you there. Visit SAT3v3.com for details on upcoming events, or head to PB Leagues to register your team today. In the Pits is partnered with Get Dat Shot. Get Dat Shot is a local Texas videographer with numerous events experience filming on the Major League Paintball Pro Field. Needing coverage for an upcoming event? Message him at getdat_shot on Instagram and let him know In the Pits sent you. In the Pits is partnered with Paintball Kumite. Paintball Kumite is a program designed by Colt Roberts of professional team San Antonio X Factor to take paintball players of all ages, experience levels, and skill groups and mold them into champions. The program breaks the game down into small, easy-to-learn sessions designed to help you master the fundamentals so that you can elevate your game. Newcomers to the program get a free 1-hour introductory class when mentioning In the Pits. To sign up for a class, message at Paintball Kumite on Instagram. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 142 of In the Pits Paintball Podcast. This podcast is focused on everything that has to do with the paintball scene here in Texas, from professional players and teams to new divisional programs, local tournament series, field owners, Texas-based brands, even photographers and videographers. Every week, we'll have a short and sweet episode with a new topic and new special guests. I'm Christian Dallas Smith. I'm a player for the Texas Titans. In this episode, we are going in the pits with Dan Shelley, two-time photographer of the year in Shellda Photos and also host of the Shellda podcast, among a whole other slew of accolades that if I tried to list them all out, I'd probably forget something. So we'll just leave it at that for now. So Dan, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. Thanks for the intro as well. Yeah, it's been a crazy journey so far. That's for sure. Excited to be here. I'm excited for our chat tonight.
Yeah, me too. So I want to get into this. So the first question is brought to us by XTPL Events. So you were last on the show on episode 71, so 71 episodes ago, which was October 25th of 2023. So what has this last roughly year and a half been like for you?
First of all, to think of you've done that many episodes between that and now is a huge feat in its own. So congratulations. But yeah, this last year and a half has just been, it's been a whirlwind, from winning the 2 awards and having work published in, the Great American Paintball magazine and landing like one of the covers too. It's something where, like, if you told me when I was a kid, hey, you're going to do all these things, I'd be like, you're absolutely crazy. There's no way, that I'd be working with my childhood heroes on projects and working alongside with them, let alone the podcast. Like, that's a whole different beast on its own. So yeah, it's been a crazy journey.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into the podcast bit too. So this one's brought to us by QBR Official. So since your last episode, at least by my count, there's things in there that I have not listed on here, but your children's book published, Dragon's Journey to Dynasty. You were awarded back-to-back Photographer of the Year honors, and you've also started what has quickly become one of the most listened to paintball podcasts. So where does this drive to dive even deeper into the paintball scene come from?
Yeah, gosh, that's a question that I've struggled with over the past few years. And I think I keep coming back to when I was a kid, this game just gave me so much. Like, it was an outlet, on the weekends. It helped those long days, like sitting in classes and not wanting to be in school and just looking forward to, Sundays at the field. And so I think fast forward to now, this sport has just given me so much in my life. I want to give back to it as much as I can. And then I also think about, when I was a kid, like, what do I wish the sport had more of? And if we don't have that, that's where I try to find different ways to essentially make my inner kid happy, right? Like, how can I get those things into the sport? So I think the drive just comes from how much paintball has given me my whole entire life.
And it's incredible to see, like, how accessible it is to be able to, like, go down these creative avenues in our scene to give back. Like, it's not like if you were involved in baseball or in football, there's a lot more establishment there, and having to go through, like, what feels like proper channels. But, like, here in paintball, if you want to do something, if you want to contribute to the scene, if you have an idea, you can just kind of go out and do it.
Yeah, that's the cool part about our sport, right? And I think, tying back to that last question that you asked, I've listened to almost every single Spick and Span show since day one, and people come on, they have these ideas, and you always hear Ryan and Kyle say, well, then go do it. Like, there's nothing stopping you from doing it with how small relatively our sport is. And so I kind of took that mentality of, like, all right, well, if there's something that I want to do, like, nothing is stopping me. Like, why not go try it? And I think, if I fast forward 60, 70 years from now and I'm looking back at my life, I don't want to look back and be like, man, I wish I did that. Like, I wonder what it would have been like if I picked up a camera or if I started a podcast. And so that's a huge drive, is living without regrets. And it also makes for a fun journey along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Here in the chat, the coaches show, shout out. I'm not sure if that's Ryan or Mike manning the helm there, but we got,
Awesome.
don't forget, Married and Awesome Chica. Yeah, your wife Amanda has also been heavily involved. I know at one point she was doing the YI Paintball account on Instagram, but she's even, graduating from that, she's still attends all of the events with you. I know I saw her in Tampa. Yeah. How has that been, just to have that strong support?
Gosh, yeah. I mean, I for sure wouldn't be anywhere involved in this paintball scene, let alone as deep as I am, like, without her support. I literally owe everything to her and to our relationship. And, she'll be with me in Atlantic City next week. And like the whole thing with the Shellda podcast, that wouldn't happen without her. Because I think it was after World Cup, we were driving somewhere and I was like, man, I just have a creative itch to do something else. And like, I thought about doing like a vlog of like, vlogging events and like kind of giving a behind the scenes look. And she was like, no, I don't think that's it. And she was like, what about a podcast? And my first reaction was like, absolutely not, no way. And then I sat on it for a few days and I was like, you know what? It's actually not a bad idea. And I was like, hey, I'm sorry I said no right away. So yeah, she's been the driving force behind a lot of what I'm doing, because she's just so supportive with it. Like, spouses that go to these paintball events, like, if you have a spouse, like, go say thank you to them, because they are long, grueling days to sit at a paintball field in all sorts of weather. And she's watching me, but like, I'm not winning, I'm not losing. I'm just literally taking pictures, going to the same exact, probably 10 different spots on the field. So yeah, I can't thank her enough for everything that she's given me a platform to do.
Yeah, for sure. Big shout out to Amanda. And like, as far as you starting your podcast, like, I sat down with Clint Riddle on his show not too long ago, and he said there must have been something in the water around that time, because like right now I can name 5 different podcasts that operate within Texas, between In the Pits, The Joy of Paintball, Shellda podcast, After the Buzzer with Robert Jordan, and then the From the Sidelines podcast, and then of course Ryan Gray, not too far away up in Oklahoma. So there's been this kind of creative, I don't know if renaissance is the right word, but it's definitely some sort of movement where there was a need for like all of these different angles of stories and different parts of the scene getting coverage.
Yeah, I think, the cool thing with a podcast, and like, if I look at this from a creator lens, right? Like, when we were in Tampa, I had a long conversation with Matt the Gym Rat, and that guy just eats, lives, breathes everything creator. We talked at length of there's a space for everybody. You just rattled off 5 or 6 podcasts in Texas alone. And you didn't mention the Paintball Moms. There's a Paintball Moms podcast now. And so like, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I forgot about them. Yeah, we gotta include them on the list too, for sure.
Yeah. So like, you talk about there's like a niche within a niche, and there's something for everybody, right? Like, the Spick and Span show is great for conversation. Play the Game is great for bringing people on and talking about breaking news. And yours obviously is focusing on Texas and now getting a lot bigger. And so there's literally something for everybody. I've got a few folks that comment on almost all of my podcasts, and they're like, hey, I'm so sorry I'm so late. I'm getting caught up. And I'm like, please don't apologize. That's a good problem for paintball, is to have way too many podcasts. So it's a good thing. There's something out there for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. And just to back up a little bit on like everything that you do in the scene in general, this one's brought to us by the San Antonio 3v3 series. So clearly, like, the way that you do things, whether it's your podcast, whether it's taking photos, it's there's something about your methods that is just a winning formula in general. So what do you think it is about the way that you do things that have made your endeavors popular, successful, things like that?
And that's I think it comes to it. It has to be driven by passion first. I've done a lot of like different ventures and business adventures early on in my life, and it was money driven first. So it's like, how can I make a quick dollar? How can I make some side income? And all those things like fizzled out because it wasn't passion first. And when I started taking photos with paintball a few years ago, it was solely because when I think back to when I was a kid, I had maybe 3 or 4 pictures of me playing, and they were all, from like the old like Kodak cameras that you buy at like, Walmart, and you throw them away after you get them developed, but they're all behind the net. And so like they were all just not great quality. And those are my memories. And so with the photos, I wanted to be able to give back to the sport and to players. And that's been the sole driving factor of really starting this is giving back in some capacity. And then tying into the podcast, it was, I've always wanted a deeper connection with players. I don't think it's anyone doesn't know, like I've been a huge Dynasty fan since I was literally a kid. And I used to have, posters of Ryan and Alex in my room when I was a kid, but I always wish I knew more. Like I would get the magazines, I'd read the articles, I'd watch all the videos online, I'd scour PB Nation, but I just wanted to know more about the person. And so that's really what drove the podcast, is getting these folks on and getting inside of their minds and what they're going through, what they're struggling with. It's just been such a powerful platform for people to open up.
Yeah, and kind of speaking of, we do have Gerald Garcia here in the chat tuning in. Please, if you have not listened to it already, please go listen to Gerald's episode. It was some I would say a welcome change in tone of conversation, especially when you think about like the guys that were pro back in the day, that were big, like just being able to talk about the things that you guys talk about on this episode.
Yeah, and like, so just a quick for people that haven't listened to that yet, the way that started is Gerald actually approached me at USXBL. I was like, hey, I listened to your podcast, I love it, and like we had a good 15-minute conversation of what we talk about on the show. But like I would see Gerald at the event, I'm like, wow, that's Gerald Garcia, like that's a legend right there. And then for him to come up to me and say like he wanted to talk to on the podcast, it was just like a complete like whoa moment for me. And so it's been a really cool experience of having, people I used to look up to and legends of the game approach me and be like, hey, I want to come on your show and talk about whatever the topic is.
Yeah. And I do want to keep talking a bit more about your podcasting, which is brought to us by the Splat Zone Trinity 3-man series, which again, registration for that is open. Please go sign up. I'm going to be the ultimate ref for that. We're bringing an entire ref crew from San Antonio to go ref that in Houston. It's going to be a great time. Even if you're like a pro player, there's an open 3v3 X-Ball division. So everybody can go sign up and play.
Gosh, open divisions can be so much fun.
Oh yeah. So your first episode of your podcast published at the end of November of 2024, and it pretty much immediately took off. So you were quickly sponsored by Hormesis and then Black Friday paintball gear. And many of your episodes on YouTube are sitting at well north of 1,000 views. Some of them like several thousand. So what was it that like, I guess we talked a little bit about the inspiration with Amanda giving that suggestion, but like you kind of dove head first pretty quickly into it. So tell us more about that journey.
Yeah, I think, I'm a type of person when I go into something, like it's not 50%, like it's 110%. And so going into starting the podcast, it was just so much research the first few weeks. And even, I'm 20 some odd episodes in, and I'm still researching ways to make the show better and how can I be a better host. And so it's constant learning and growing for me. And I knew right off the bat, I was like, man, if I'm going to do this, like I have to stay consistent with it. And so it was a challenge for myself. And the other thing is right off the bat, I wanted to just hit some home runs and bring on, some people that I had looked up to and people that I had maybe done projects with in the past few years. And so that's why the first few episodes, I think were obviously Sal Chavez, a good friend of mine from the media side, but I think I had Archie Barnes Jr. on, Ryan Greenspan was on early, Alex Frazier was on early. And so I think having backing and supporting of some really big names to help drive this venture from day one, I think it really helped solidify for me, like, okay, there's something here. It gave me that satisfaction of, hey, these guys believe in me enough to come on my show. And then, there's just something about what I've noticed is when I send guests their questions, I get a lot of, wow, no one's ever asked me that, or I've never had an opportunity to talk about those things in the paintball world. And so I think that's what drives a lot of people to tune in because it's a platform for them to share.
Yeah, and this is kind of echoed here. Ryan Gray in the chat says, people want to know people, not the character that they play. Dan has done that for his audience. And I would 100% agree with that. Like listening to your show, we're learning more about like the human beings that are in our community, not just like, hey, that's Chris Lasoya that is known like he's more than just the clip of him going and bunkering that dude in the back of the head. Like he's a whole human being behind that.
Yeah. And that's it, right? Like I think the general paintball audience, they're watching players every event or every Sunday. And obviously you see the Chris Lasoyas and like they have the mask on and they just look like they're superheroes and they just live this crazy life. But when you take the mask off, like we're all humans, we all go through emotions. We all have full-time jobs, some multiple jobs just to make it to those events. And I think when people hear that, they just relate so much to different stories. Next week, it hasn't been announced yet, but I have Tyler Harmon will be on before Atlantic City. And when we sat down, like he opened up about his long kind of struggle to the pro world. He was working whatever the job he had where he was working 30 or 40 consecutive days and his only days off were on Saturday and Sunday to literally fly to play paintball. So he never saw his family. So he grinded for so long, and I don't think a lot of people know that. And so it's those type of stories that, I am so proud to share to the paintball community for people that look up to, the Tylers and the Marcellos of the world as their heroes. And when they hear that, it humanizes them. And so it makes them appreciate that person on a deeper level.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of, there's a lot of struggle out there to make it in paintball that, that I don't think everybody has it's kind of out of sight, out of mind for the most part, right? A lot of people will think like, oh, the pros they're only coming out for the layout weekend and then they go to the event, but otherwise they're not grinding. They're not working hard. There is so much more to all of their stories that a lot of these people don't know. And because of your show, we're getting a lot more of that now.
Yeah. And I think a good example of that is, like Dynasty and both Paintball Fit. Like if you go to an NXL event on Wednesday or Thursday, it's a ghost town, right? You see like tents that are barely put up. But those players, so it's usually Yosh, it's usually Alex and some other guys for Dynasty, and then all the paintball crew, they bring Paintball Fit, they bring all of their tents with them, and they're the ones that are setting it up. And then after they're done playing on Sunday, after they're off the stage covered in champagne, they have to then go back in the dark and break down their tents. So like you have these just superstars on the field, but then as soon as the event's over, like they're back to being just regular humans.
Yeah, definitely. And I remember, I think Colt Lukow went on, I want to say either Spick and Span to play the game. Like he talked about that exact thing. Like, yeah, we just won World Cup as the rookie pro team. Let's go break down.
Break it down. Yeah.
That's definitely not what I would want to spend the rest of that evening doing.
No, definitely not.
So this one brought to us by BEMRAP. So speaking more specifically to the sponsor side of the show, so I guess your backing, was it kind of more gathered through already established relationships with like the Dynasty crew, like Alex, Oliver, Junior Brown, or how exactly did their patronage come about?
Yeah, I go back and forth, or I have gone back and forth of like, what is the most important thing in paintball, and I finally landed on it. Companies will come and go, right? Like sponsors come and go, but teams come and go too. But it's the relationships that you build in the sport is what keeps you so involved and so deep in the sport. And so I think having BFP gear on as a sponsor and having Hormesis on, it just came from 2 or 3 years of building those relationships with Junior, Gina, and Alex and Oliver from Hormesis. And when I floated the idea around, there was no question in their mind. Junior actually called me and was like, "Hey, what can we do? How can we support it?" And then same thing, I asked, I was talking with Alex. I was like, "Hey, I've got this idea. I'm going to run a podcast. I would love to work with you guys." And same thing, there was just no back and forth. He was like, is this for sure something you're going to stick with? I'm like, yeah. He's like, more than like 5 episodes? Yeah. He's like, all right, sign me on. And so it's just been cool to have that level of support from people based off of the relationship that we built over the past few years of that trust, right? I think kind of getting off on a tangent here, but that's something as a photographer that I hold almost like as at an integrity level, that like when I'm taking pictures on the field, and whether I'm posting it from my account or I'm sending it to the Dynasty account or just other team accounts, that's representing not only the player, the brand, the sponsors, our sport as a whole. And so I think between Alex and Junior and the crew, they saw that level of passion that I put into the photo side, and so I think that's why it was an easy decision for them to sign on.
Yeah, I mean, with such a known quantity as yourself, and like the level of like due diligence that you put into your work in other areas in paintball, it's definitely an easy decision for them. And this question that I'm kind of thinking of in my head right now, not on the list, and I'm gonna jump you with this. It's a little bit deeper of a question, and
I love it.
I'm also curious for anybody in the chat listening if you want to chime in. So this question, I guess, is more for anyone out there who's like maybe on the outside of the media sphere looking in. Maybe they have an idea of something in a way that they want to contribute, but they're like perhaps not quite sure of the direction that they want to go in, or the level of commitment that's required, or like even just like the fear of not releasing a very good product. There was a quote that I heard somewhat recently that I want to get your thoughts on.
Sure.
Which is, anything that's worth doing is worth doing poorly.
Yeah. So first and foremost, yes, that right there. I think no matter what you do, what idea you have, it's the first time you're going to look back at it and be like, man, that was so cringeworthy. Like, I'm so glad I'm past that stage. But just to get to that stage of starting something new is so hard, right? I think we go through, as Isaac said this in my episode when I had him on, and he called it analysis paralysis, where you think about the thing or the hobby so much that you paralyze yourself from doing it, and that creates fear, right? And it creates that fear cycle of failure and judgment and everything else involved in it. And I've had a lot of folks since I started the photography journey, like, hey, how do I get involved? And so I give them a bunch of tips and help them out. But that's been the cool thing with the podcast too, is I've had some people reach out and like, hey, I've thought about doing a podcast on this part of paintball, but I never knew if it would land. And I kind of give them that same advice, like, just do it. If there's nothing out there like it, then you are the person. Like, people are going to turn to you for that. But yeah, there's a lot of fear of like turning on the camera for the first time, or like, is my voice going to sound okay? What if I don't have the right gear? And we just really talk ourselves out of it. And then we lose an opportunity to help grow our sport.
Yeah, definitely. I think that can extend not just within the media sphere or content creation, like even extending to wanting to get better at playing. Anything
Yeah.
like anything worth doing poorly, that code mean like, hey, you don't think you're very good at this game of paintball just yet. It doesn't mean that you should just like sit at home and watch, or like never get out there and play. Or it could even like extend to like starting that diet. Even if
Yeah.
you're not killing it right away, like you're doing the diet poorly. Maybe you've got a couple of cheat meals here and there, a little too many, but like just taking that first step is so important, and you're gonna improve over time. It's not a war that you have to win all at once.
Yeah, somebody you said this a while ago, and it's resonated with me ever since. They talked about a vision of like if you ride a bicycle, like that first pump or two to get the wheels going is the hardest ones you're going to take, and then after that, like you've got the motion behind you to keep that bike going at a lot easier pace. So it's just those first few steps to really get going with anything. I think that the biggest thing I can give out there, if you're struggling with wanting to start something, put a date on your calendar, and whatever that date is, tell yourself by this day, I will either start it or I will start it on that day. But giving yourself a deadline, I think, will help hold yourself accountable.
For sure. All right. So yeah, that's just something that kind of came up in my head as we were talking about it. Definitely wanted to get that out there. So kind of rewinding a little bit back to the talk of sponsorship. This one's brought to us by Mariachi Aguilas de Oro. So I want to touch on the fact that you are one of 4 individuals that were announced to be fully sponsored by JT this year, along with Matt the Gym Rat, Ryan Greenspan, and Thomas Taylor. So can you tell us more about what exactly the sponsorship means for you and your personal brand?
Gosh, I don't even know where to start with that. It's a dream come true, right? Because JT's the company I always looked up to and aspired to wear when I was a kid. Like seeing all these guys in the magazines wearing the Pro Flexes and the old school JT racing pants. It was just always the company I had dreamed about being partnered with in some way, shape, or form. Like even when I first got into the scene a few years ago, and I was thinking about doing merch or having my own line of clothing, JT was always like the dream for me. It seemed untouchable. And at World Cup last year, just naturally conversations came up, and they were talking about starting a program, the elite program, and they wanted me to be one of the 4. And it's such a cool thing that they're doing, because it's not, a lot of other companies will partner with people and they'll take their logo and they'll slap it on a shirt and, sell 30 or 40 shirts. But the cool thing that with JT and this collection between the 4 of us is they're literally reinventing paintball merchandise. Each of us, the 4 of us in the line, we've been working directly with Jared Lackey, the designer, on all of our designs. We've been working with them on the fit. And it's like, we'll get different shirt designs that we get sent to us, and like, we'll wear it around a little bit, and then we'll email back like, hey, this fits a little off, or this is a little too big or too tight, and no questions asked. Cool. We'll fix it. We'll send you another one. They're doing all sorts of just different avenues of clothing that they've never done before. So it's been a really amazing honor to be part of that. And I think that the big thing, what we're starting to see more in the paintball industry, is how can we bring outside people into the sport? And that's one of the things that JT's doing really well with this program, is they're trying to design clothing where when you wear it out, it gets people like, what's that? And then it starts the conversation. They had dropped one of these like hoodies. That's called a hoodie, a shirt hoodie, at Tampa, and it was like that retro kind of look where it was like pink and blue, and it had like the Saved by the Bell look to it. Anytime I wear that, no matter where I wear it, I get somebody that says, hey, what is that? Like, what is JT, or like, what is paintball? And so it's a cool conversation starter that we probably wouldn't have without it.
Yeah, it's cool to see that trend of, like, as Meter Ninos kind of calls it, like the airport fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, just being able to have bits and pieces in your wardrobe that you're like comfortable and maybe even a little bit proud of wearing in those like areas of high foot traffic, high publicity where people are going to see you, and you're like, you know what, this is how I'm going to represent myself to the rest of the world.
Yeah,
It's yeah, go ahead.
for sure. And with a brand like JT, whether you've been involved in paintball or you've only played it a handful of times, like people recognize the logo, whether it's the regular JT logo or that banana logo, like people have seen it. And so whenever they see that on a shirt, they're like, there's that instant connection of, oh, I've seen that somewhere before, or, oh, that's something paintball related. So it's a great conversation starter.
Yeah, for sure. I know whenever I'm in the airport, I'm usually wearing my hoodie of like my project hoodies.
Yeah.
And those are like, not only are they just like comfortable, but they're good looking clothes that like you could wear to like just in public in general. And it's not like, oh, it's not like a huge like graphic tee or whatever with a bunch of paintballers on there. It's just good looking clothes.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it too, is, because like all of us, like I've got a 9-to-5 job and I work in an office setting. And so like to be able to wear something like this to work, I'm bringing paintball into that environment, which is a great conversation starter too. I've had so many people ask like, what is project, or like, what is, when I'm wearing Hormesis and it has like the Crux logos all over, like, what is that? What brand is that? And they have no idea that it's paintball related. And so it just creates that cool conversation.
Yeah, for sure. So this one's brought to us by Colt Roberts and his brand Paintball Kumite. So is there anything that you can share with us now relating to the JT deal, perhaps with like exclusive or signature merch releases?
Gosh, what can I say? We've been working hard since World Cup. I know all 4 of us in the program, we all have designs and samples that we've been working back and forth on. I know we're super close to launching, and I got permission from JT to like kind of give some sneak peeks. Like this is a Pod Pirate shirt that we're coming out with. People love the Pod Pirate shirt, and like it's got my branding on it. And then I've had a lot of people ask over the past few years, like, hey, they want like I did the undershirts, the long tech tees with Maxed with Charles, and those were such a hit. And so people obviously wanted that with JT, but they also wanted like an all over shirt. So like the stickers all over. And so like we've got almost like a sticker bomb shirt. So the whole entire shirt is covered in a bunch of different colorways. I've got like a hoodie coming out. So I would say probably in the next few weeks, you'll hear something from JT, from the 4 of us at least. We're definitely itching and excited. That's for sure. We're excited to get all this stuff out.
I love it. I know for you, like you're a sponsored athlete, but you're the guy behind the camera. But are we going to see like anything that players can wear while playing on the field from your brand?
Great question. Like that, when I hear sponsored athlete, like it's definitely changed my approach to just life in general. Like, I've got a Patreon, and I've got, my Shellda squad in there. So like shout out to the Shellda squad. They hold me accountable. They're like, hey, you're a sponsored athlete now. So like, you've got to be working out daily. You've got to be eating right. So it's been a nice lifestyle change for me in a good direction. But back to your question, I think we're going to be doing something with a pair of pants at some point this year that have my logo on it. And I would love to do some type of practice jersey that has my logo on it. But obviously I don't want it to be my red and blue, because I only want to be the one wearing that. That way no one thinks there's other media walking around. But like I could see like a blacked out Shellda jersey would look pretty cool. Some type of like old school vibe with a JT design on it would be pretty sweet. So I think that's something we're going to be working with later this year.
All right. Yeah. Stay tuned on that. Yeah. So this one's brought to us by Jared Sherman and his website, texanhemp.com. So earlier today, the layout for the NXL Mid-Atlantic Major dropped, and I'm going to pull it up here on the screen right now. Let's get the layout up. There we go. So what are your thoughts on it so far?
Oh man. Definitely a much easier layout than Tampa. Tampa was like such one of the hardest layouts I've ever shot. And so when I first saw this as a photographer, I usually look at a few different things, and like, I guess whatever you would call, some would probably call S1, or like that anvil or tower going into the snake. Yeah, right there. That's usually one of the first bunkers I look at to say, okay, what's that break shot coming off? So like somebody, the buzzer goes off and they're running straight at me. Do I have a clear shot of the box to the snake? Is there an insert bunker? And so I think what we're going to see a lot of is a lot of folks going off the start to that can insert before the snake. And so we'll see a lot of probably photos of players diving in there. But the cool thing about that is, as media, you can kind of set up for that secondary shot. You can set up for that fill into the snake. And then the other cool thing about this layout is it's going to be a lot of heads up, right? So there's not a lot of in and insert or outsert bunkers. So like down the snake and down the Dorito side, I think we're going to see a lot of the video guys standing on the back lines, which is going to just be some incredible gun battling, in and out of the bunkers and seeing the paint coming from both of the players. So honestly, like I think this is one of the better layouts that we've seen in a while for media. I'm really excited for it, and it sounds silly, but like this Sunday, I'll be at Outlaw, my local field here in Austin, seeing this for the first time in person, and I do the same thing that the players do. I look for, all right, what are some potential moves? Where can I set up for maybe like a secondary shot? Where am I going to see some car crash or like action shots? And then something that I don't think a lot of media do, but I've done it since I started, on the pro field, on the snake side, where that center 50 snake bunker, that whatever that wedge is right there, there's probably a 10 by 10 squared off box that the referee stands on. And so when I'm taking practice shots this weekend, I actually try not to do anything around that, because if I get comfortable shooting with that, I won't be able to shoot that at Atlantic City. So I really try to focus on, okay, that box is there. That's going to block me out from certain angles. I need to keep that in mind. So I think we're going to see a lot of creativity from the media team on this one, because there's just so many different spots where you can line up and get secondary shots. Like if obviously I lay down for a lot of my work, and if I'm laying down trying to get that can insert or that snake insert, and I get that, I can immediately in the same exact spot turn around and now get somebody coming down the snake, all from that one spot. So I think we're going to see a nice variety of content next week.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. Real quick, because I know the Coaches Show put it on their page earlier today, and I'm just gonna bring it up here as well. Just so the layout for the Atlantic City. Speaking of that snake Aztec. So it probably looks a little bit more like this, where the edge of that Aztec is just going to be a hair past that snake beam. This is correct. Where you look kind of where the grid line is the snake beam kind of lays on the inside of it, but the edge of the Aztec is right on that grid line. So it's not going to be flush, and that's correct. So this, I know Ryan Gray said that he reached out to the commissioner, Jason Trojan, just for clarity on this, because there were some fields out there setting it up and they weren't exactly sure what was right, what wasn't. This is correct right here. If there's going to be a slight overhang by that Aztec. So anybody setting up the layout, that's what you should be expecting. But yeah, heading back to,
well, super quick on that, right? Because like that, right? You can leave this up, but super quick on touching on that. That is what, maybe 2 or 3 inches that change. It's not much, but like that move is going to completely change one angle or one lane somewhere else in the field. And I think that's the level of where we are with the pros, is where it's literally a game of inches. Like that right there is going to change how that snake is played.
For sure. Like even looking at the like how level the field is. If there's a tiny little hill in certain spots on the field, that adds certain shots, that takes away certain shots. That might add a shot if you're playing on the red side of the field, but if you're playing on the blue side, then suddenly your whole game plan has to change around the other team having that shot available to them. Like it's that tight at this level.
Yeah, it totally is.
So this question is brought to us by 71 Designs. So come time for layout weekend, we always hear from like the pro players and other like players what their thoughts on how the layout will play, but we don't often get like the perspectives from the members of the media behind the camera. So in your opinion, what about a layout makes it great for media?
When there's not a lot of chaos in the middle, you know, like that Tampa layout, there were just so many bunkers in the middle of the field where, you know, when someone was running somebody down, it was so hard to like turn with your camera and not have 2 or 3 bunkers block out that shot. So I think that's why we didn't see a lot of those kind of like crazy, you know, car crash bunker kind of shots in Tampa. Something like this, I love, and I think other media will love too, is it feels more open and less chaotic in the middle, which allows us to set up for more shots. It allows us to, okay, this play, like read the field, right? Like this player is probably going to fill out. And so I can set up a little bit more on the outside, and whether it's get a slide or dive into, you know, one of the insert bunkers. Now the flip side to that could also make for some really slow pocket play. And that's the hard part. If it turns into like a pocket play field where everyone's looking inside, it makes our job so hard. So you know, hopefully we see a lot of battling on the outside to fill out, because that's where we get some really cool action shots, diving at the cameras, and then get a lot of that heads up gun battling.
Yeah, I think for me personally, looking at the amount of laydown bunkers that seem to be fairly easy to get to, especially the back center, this laydown juice box on the Dorito side, this laydown mini W towards the Dorito side tape, like those spots, whenever there's laydowns, that usually means like it's going to be very tough to eliminate a player that's playing those spots, unless you go and like just eliminate all of their teammates and then bunker them. So like these 3 spots, I'm predicting you're going to see a lot of players try and figure out a way to control the field from.
Yeah, I think historically, you know, we've seen a lot of like snake side dominant fields. That's what we've seen that over the last few years. But this particularly, I think that Dorito side is going to be, you're going to see a lot of action over there. And which is great, you know, because that's where the VIP area sits. That's where the fans are sitting. And I think that the cool part about having, is that a wedge for back center?
It's a laydown mini W.
A mini W. So like that's, when have we seen that for a back center? You know, that's going to be a whole nother element right there. Typically the back center bunker has been like the bunker of death, and you don't want to be in that. And so I could see, this could be a lot of blind shots. But from a media perspective, what I'm excited for is the first big Dorito, not the turret, but the second one. Yeah, that.
Oh, this one on the tape.
Yeah, I could see a lot of media folks lining up outside of that, because you're going to see a lot of people running, and you're going to be looking at that wedge, looking at that mini Dorito, and looking at that tower. So you can see 3 bunkers in one line of vision. And so that player's coming at you, and he's going to stop or dive somewhere, off the break. So and then right there you can turn and get some pretty cool. I think you can get some cool shots of that center 50, depending if that can is in the way or not. So this is actually one of the layouts where I think we'll see more. The Dorito players will probably get some more love than usual, which will be a nice change.
Yeah, I think. The sight lines are definitely there from the Dorito side.
Yeah.
With the center bunkers are always going to be blocking things out.
Yeah.
But like as you pointed out here, like you just standing in this one spot, you kind of have this whole cone that you can pivot to just from this one area. Like if you wanted to pivot all the way, let's say, let me see if I can figure out, like if you wanted to look at the corner, you kind of have this field of view pivoting more. You've got most of like these, what I'm calling the insert bunkers to the tape, all in a line. And then, of course, you've got coverage on the middle if anybody decides to get creative, which I think there's going to be plenty of creativity available.
For sure. Yeah, that's the nice part about this layout is I think from a media perspective, we can read players' body language pretty well. And like we can say, okay, this guy's getting antsy, he's getting ready to go. And that'll allow us to start to set up for looking, okay, what's the potential move here to capture that? And what you just showed is kind of exactly how I look at a field when I'm out there. Is like I'll look at it from a cone. So like if I stand in this one spot, how many different pictures or angles can I get from literally standing in this one spot? If I'm lining up to get somebody off the break and they get shot, can I turn instantly and get something else? And so this layout, I think, was going to be play into that very well.
Yeah, for sure. And another factor that I want to bring in as well, this one's brought to us by Hydra. So we've heard the reports that there's once again going to be like potentially an ESPN filming deal during the pro finals. However, I did get confirmation from Tom Cole earlier today that we are going to see a return of the expanded sideline dimensions for the pro field. So how much of a difference does that expanded field size make in terms of your ability to capture the content?
It's a game changer. It really is. Luckily, like on the snake side, we have a lot of room, right? Because that ref tower takes up a lot, so they have to compensate for that. And so usually you'll give up some room on the Dorito side. And what that means for media is we have, I don't know, maybe at most 3 feet from out of bounds to the net. In that 3 feet, we have to share with referees running back and forth, other media members, stationary cameras. And then if it gets windy, it blows the net into the field. And so there's not a lot of room over there at all. And so the nice thing about having wider sidelines is we can sit further back and we can get just totally different angles looking at the field from whether it's photos or video. It really, really opens the game up for us. And then we can focus more on the game and not focus on, am I in this referee's way? Am I going to get stepped on? Am I going to interrupt the game in any capacity? It's kind of a running joke now where when I'm out there, because I lay down for most of my shots, like I'll hit like with the referee's ankle. I'll be like, hey, I'm right next to you. And like they love it because that way they're not going to step on me or they know I'm there. So it's almost like a respect thing that we have. So having more sidelines is going to allow for us to do our job much better and also make it easier for the refs too.
Yeah, definitely. I know another thing that the Atlantic City layout last year introduced were those extra beams that they kind of placed along the out of bounds. Has that helped you guys or made it a little bit less painful to capture this content on the pro field?
Yeah, so I don't know if they're going to have that for Atlantic City. If they do, while it's good for branding, right? It's good for like the television side of it. It makes it a little more challenging because we have to work with that, right? Like we can be front or behind it, so you have to go around it or hop around it. So it definitely adds another element to it. But I think where you have that cone right there, having the bigger sidelines on the back line too, the video guys can sit so far back and really get nice angles of like the paint coming down the field without getting destroyed and without getting shot, which is also the trick to this madness, is trying to stand in lanes without getting destroyed the whole entire weekend.
Yeah. And just like for those that aren't aware of like the confines that you have to work within, what are the rules that the media members on the pro field have to follow while you're out there?
Yeah, this is, I'm glad you brought this up because there's a lot actually. We are not allowed to cross the back line. I think it's inside of 30 seconds, which, it's a distraction for players. While the game is on, you're not allowed to move across the back line at all, unless you have permission from Go Sports or somebody In where you are on the field, your number one job as a media personnel, regardless of what content you take, is to not ruin the integrity of the game, right? So like if somebody's coming down the snake, try to be slow with your movements, like not point the camera right at the person. And so that's why myself personally, I always wear a tinted lens, because like if I'm looking somewhere, I can use my peripheral vision to see if somebody's coming or where they are. And that way I can slowly start to anticipate where I have to turn my camera and not just wait on it, right? And spin on the person really quick. So yeah, the biggest thing is just to keep the integrity of the game in the mind. And then also it's hard on the Dorito side. It's much easier on the snake side. But to be as far back as you can to give the referees enough room to run up and down. I think we've all seen it. There's been some new media folks over the past few years, and they lay right on the out of bounds line, and like that's just one, you're a distraction to the players, but now you're also distracting the referees from doing their job too. That's like the biggest no-no as a media personnel is you never want you as a media person or your camera to distract the game in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, those are some, I guess, some key rules that you have to work within, especially like the not being anywhere on the back line at all. So like yeah, like where exactly like do you have to be essentially like this side or this side of the north-south boundaries, or
it's like one of those loose things where if you're going to be on the back line, you have to stand where you are. Like you can't move. And you'll see like the Enriques, the Verbals, and the Fava, they'll stand kind of offset. But you can't move the whole entire point. So like whatever shots you're getting, like you've got to take it. I think there's definitely, we would all love to stand right behind the start box, and like get that nice breakout picture right behind the players. But that's just a huge distraction from the player who's playing the back center or somebody trying to shoot cross field. And now you're seeing media members popping up and down, looking back and forth. And that's just a part that hurts the integrity of the game. But that's where having the wider sidelines and the wider back lines is, if you're further back, you're a little bit of a lesser of a distraction.
Right. Yeah. I know on some of the divisional fields, and I'm not sure if they've implemented this on the pro field as well, but I've started to see a couple of, I guess, ref stations where they have kind of PVC pipe with a little bit of netting that the refs stand behind. Are you guys allowed to utilize any of that? Do you bring your own, or?
No, we're not allowed to. I've asked because it would definitely make for some really cool shots. I've thought about like, what can we do to be closer to the action without disrupting the action? If you think of like hockey, right? Like you've got glass all around and they've got the holes where they can open up and stick their camera through without getting hit from the puck. I think there's an opportunity with something like that where there's set stations out of bounds where we can stand behind, we can lay behind. But when you're there for the point. There's for sure an opportunity for it. I just don't know what it would look like.
Yeah, having those extra ref stations, I know, have helped the refs a lot. Like they're like it's quality. It's quality of life for the job that they're doing, which is not it's not for the faint of heart. Standing there, like, especially if you're a backline judge, you've got that. It's a crucial spot for a referee to stand, but it just adding that little bit of protection there makes your ability to do your job so much easier when you're not worried about like getting shot, your equipment getting shot, and you're doing it for 10 plus hours every day.
Yeah. I mean, you're spot on, right? Like if you are getting to the point where worried about getting shot as your first thought in your mind, you're taking away from the job at hand. And so if you can remove that and eliminate that, then whether it's a referee or media, you're going to be able to do your job at a much higher level. So yeah, there's for sure something I think we could do there. Maybe it's that PVC setup, but maybe there's like a media flag on it or something that shows like, hey, whoever is standing here is a media person and they can't move. I'm sure there's something that we could do.
Yeah, definitely. I know the other thing that's happened, I guess, not so much in the public eye, but uh, what the media is wearing while they're on the sidelines has changed within the last 2 years. Now that it's all pretty standardized to like the media bibs, just to help bring a little bit more clarity of like, hey, this is a media person. This isn't a player walking off the field or anything like that. So having that clarity is good. I think it also provides a little bit more of like a standard look across the league, which brings a little bit more professionalism out there. But adding some of these other changes, like if we can get a few more like PVC stations, even if we just have like 6 or 8 of them that either the ref could stand behind or the media member, you have one like, let's say each corner of the field, and then maybe at the 50s. Like that I think would allow you guys to really get some more shots during the game.
Yeah, totally. And I think most of the layouts in the past year have had that big bunker on the back lines, like that really huge tube or the 2 tubes that go on the back line. I've used that a few times where I'll lay behind it, but that way I can get like kind of a different angle, like a breakout shot. Like I'm kind of behind the player or players as they're breaking out. But again, like the thing there is once you're there and you're getting a breakout shot and then that point's wasted, like, because I don't want to pop over and then now I'm going to have 4 or 5 guys looking at me and then I just ruin the integrity of the game for that. So I think there's something we can definitely do to get some more creativity with some of these different shots.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm also like, obviously guys like you're pretty much spending all of your time on the pro field during these events. I'm curious if like there is any room for those media members that are on the divisional side to help get them a little bit more quality of life updates as well.
Gosh, I mean the divisional sidelines are rough. They're like really, really short. We're talking maybe a foot. So there's sometimes where you're even like standing on the field. Unfortunately, but like that's where you lean more into the net. Yeah, I've thought about what is it like having shields out there, but then that's bounce shots. That's another thing that's moving. That's another thing, just another thing you have to have logistically speaking, and it's more of a cost too. So I don't know if I've thought about maybe like a big tarp or like a big poncho, that would at least take some of the hit, but. Yeah, there's got to be something we can do because I think there's just an opportunity that we're missing by being only able to shoot the sidelines.
Yeah, definitely.
I think we saw it in the Hormesis film that just came out, right? Like they had the cameras on the back line for a lot of those shots, and man, just some of the footage they were able to capture with paint coming and going was unreal.
Yeah, I think that being able to capture the paint coming and going is somewhat of a new trend within like the clips that you're seeing on Instagram, especially from Verbal, where he's able to like track the ball leaving the marker and exploding on the player or getting shot out of midair. You're seeing a lot more of those clips coming in because he's able to get those positions behind the action or in front of the action where you're in that direct line of combat. So I think that new trend of the content that is being captured and published out there is like, hey, I can actually track the ball. I think that's a trend that the general public out there is like, whoa, that was a really cool clip. Let's send that. Let's share that.
Exactly.
I'd love to see more of it.
Yeah, and that's where we get more eyeballs on the sport, right? I've thought about potentially, and I don't know how it would be done. I'm sure there's cost factored into it, but on the back line at World Cup, they had the pits on the back line, so not on the sidelines. So like players had to kind of walk down this like alley to get onto the field. I thought it'd be cool if we extended that throughout the whole back line and media was able to stand back there, and whether there was openings or like holes in the net where we could put our cameras through. That way you're just getting different angles, but you're still behind a net, and so you're not just this you're going to be less visible, is what I'm trying to say to the players on the field. That could be an option too.
Right. I know Cup is a whole other deal with they're pretty much capped out on real estate, and they're pretty set with their floor plan there. But we'll see if especially in Atlantic City, I know there's a little bit more room to work with. So I'm excited to see like the improvements and the changes that they have in store for us.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Here in the chat, Sal Chavez is kind of sounding off on his experience as well. I'm not going to put your most recent one. I won't put you, I won't expose you like that. But he's like going back to the doing your job effectively. He says he's more about the refs moving in front of his shot more than getting shot.
It happens so often. Like the cool thing about that though, is if you can use that to your advantage sometimes. Like if a ref moves in front of your shot, and depending on where it is, you can like kind of film between their legs and use their legs as like kind of a foreground. And so you can kind of get some cool like depth of field shots with referees. But I think we all have like kind of Mondayed ourselves from referees stepping in front of our shots more than once.
Yeah, for sure. I always get so sad. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a great clip. This guy's about to bunker this other guy. Oh, the refs.
It's happened so many times. Like there was one of the Cap City Charge games at USXBL. Donovan Chapa ran down somebody, and like it was going to be such an incredible clip or a photo. I was right there, and like I have the first 3 shots, and then as I'm turning, you see the referee just get bigger and bigger and bigger in my photo, and I missed all of it. So man, it happens to all of us.
Yeah, be like that sometimes.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I think that is just about does it for our discussion on the layout here. If anybody has any questions that they want to ask Dan, go ahead, get them in the chat. So Dan, for this upcoming event, like who are you going to be shooting for? Where can we expect you to see you on the field? Are you going to be on the pro field all day, or are you also covering any divisional teams? Like what is your weekend going to look like?
Yeah, so I'm exclusively on the pro field. So any photo that you see that'll be coming from the NXL or Major League Paintball, like on their scorecard graphics, will be my work. I think I'm the only photographer that they're using for that weekend. So it'll be a busy weekend for sure. And then like every event, I'll also be, editing photos on the side and posting from my account as well. But yeah, I'll be exclusively on the pro field for Atlantic City.
Okay, gotcha. So you're not with like a paint company or a vendor or anything like that. You're specifically with the league.
Yeah, I'm working for the league. Yep.
Cool. Yeah, and you being the only photographer, I didn't realize that there's that much of an emphasis on getting the video nowadays.
I can't speak to the video side of it. I don't know what the league's doing with video, but from the photo side, obviously when the match is done, we're trying to post that scorecard graphic within minutes. And so, we've got a pretty awesome team where I'll literally run off the field, grab a few photos, edit them quick, and then send them to the guy in the tent to mock up the scorecard graphic. And it usually gets posted within 2 or 3 minutes after the game's been finished.
Man, that's it's incredible how many hats that the people that contribute on the behind the scenes aspects of this game, like there are so many jobs that they're doing at once, where if you think about it from like any other sport production perspective, that might be the job of like 3 or 4 individuals that they're doing all by themselves.
Yeah, 100%, right? Like I think I hear that so much from people, and I hear both sides of it, like, pros and cons of, we have to wear so many hats in paintball, and we're doing 10 jobs. When at a different company, I'd be doing 1 job. A pro side of that is like, that's teaching you so many different life skills of how to manage your time, how to prioritize. Alex Sorensen, he's the head of NXL or Major League Media. I'll ask him like, hey, how's your day going? And he's like, man, I have like 10 things. And I asked him like, how do you pick what's next? And he's like, you just have to prioritize and go down the list. And so paintball teaches you so many incredible skills that you can use, outside of paintball in your professional life too.
Definitely. All right. So I think that almost does it for our show. This question is one that I ask everybody that comes on the show, and I've asked you this before, so I hope I hope we're ready for an update here. And this one's brought to us by another pro media guy. Get that shot. I believe he's working for HK nowadays on the pro field.
He's been crushing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So message him on Instagram, get that _shot if you're needing media coverage at Atlantic City or at the USXBL events here in Texas. So, Dan, is there anybody Texas based? It could be a team, player, brand, media member, project, or community guy that you believe deserves more recognition for what they're doing.
Well, I'm trying to think who I said last time. I feel like I said a media person probably. But I think, the first team that comes to mind is the Austin Assault guys. Man, the program they're putting together, they started last year in Division 5, and I think they won their first event. I think they won the NXL Texas event. They are just a machine, and they're taking off. Like they hired Connor Sanders, I think, to coach them for the year. So like having Connor's knowledge, and just to see some of the depths and drills that they're doing. So yeah, Austin Assault's absolutely crushing it. And then, Cap City Charge, them, they stepped up to the higher division. They're two programs I enjoy being around because they're all professionals. They take it serious, they have fun, but they're good guys to be around. And I really hope those two programs get the love that they deserve this year because they've been busting their ass for the last few years.
Absolutely. I do want to put this one up here from Sal. The infamous, is cereal a soup?
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Sal was I think my first guest on the podcast, and I end all of my shows by asking the guest a question so they can ask next week's guest. So it's a cool way to tie in people, and they can ask whatever they want. And Sal asked, is cereal a soup or a chowder? And I've probably brought that up in almost every episode, and it always makes people laugh. So yeah, killer question, Sal.
Yeah, it was a great first question to kick it off for sure.
Yeah, totally.
All right, Dan. So I think that just about does it. So thank you so much for your time. Do you have any last shout outs or things you'd like to say before we sign off?
Yeah, just, man, I can't thank the paintball community enough just for embracing me, embracing my brand. It's just been like, I literally every day when I wake up and I'm posting a picture, I get messages. It's such like a pinch me moment of how lucky I am to be in this spot. So like all of my guys in the Patreon, the Shellda squad, and I've got a membership on YouTube now. Everyone that's supporting me there, it literally means so much. And of course, JT, like it's what a dream come true to be partnered with them. And then obviously saving the best for last, just a huge shout out to my wife, Amanda, for holding things down while I'm going off and doing these crazy wild adventures. I couldn't do it without her.
For sure. All right, y'all. So that does it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to go follow Dan at Shellda Photos and at Shellda Podcast on Instagram. What other guests would you like to see on the show? Be sure to leave a comment down below. While you're at it, hit that subscribe button. The show goes live Wednesday evenings at 7:30 p.m. Central here on youtube.com/@Major League Paintball, except for next week. Next week, we're actually going to move it to Tuesday due to the schedule of the guests that we're going to have on. And recordings are also posted to YouTube, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify the next day. I want to give a quick shout out to my partner and sponsor to your subscribers on Patreon. Get That Shot, Paintball Kumite, Bem Raps, Hydra, XTPL Events, Mariachi Águilas de Oro, San Antonio 3v3 Series, 71 Designs, TexanHemp.com, QBRofficial.com, and the Splat Zone Trinity 3-man series. So we will see you guys next week for episode 143, next Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. Central, where we are going to have Grayson Gladstone and James Green, a.k.a. Greenie, of ASG Aftermath. So it's going to be a massive episode there to well-established pro players giving their thoughts on the upcoming event. So we will see you all then. And Dan, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on.